We live?
Like,
Cool. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another session of the Living World of Darkness, New York by Night, in the Camarilla venue. Tonight, we once again find ourselves in Bruja Domain. We're in Harlem, where the Limey and Ghost are currently sat in Ghost Strip Club, um, sort of batting out the back in the office area. Ghost obviously sat behind her desk, Limey kind of propped up on the Chesterfield chair in front of it, smoking a cigarette idly. And they are waiting. Well, I suppose Ghost more so than Limey is awaiting the arrival of the new Bruja in town, Mr. Theodore Koenig. Is that how you pronounce that? That's right. Yeah, they're awaiting the new Bruja in town, and I suppose this is where we begin our scene.
Sheila Ghost is crouched over her books. She seems to be doing some calculations. Um, Wearing a pair of black rimmed glasses and a cigarette clenched between her teeth. She sort of engages in conversation with Limey every now and again, and she's listening to him if he talks, but she's also sort of looking down at her paper.
Limey kind of seems to be punching idly at his phone and making sporadic conversation, most of it revolving the Yakuza deciding to hold their money laundering facilities for the rest of the gangs in the area. Sort of all seems to be very business talk today. You know, sort of odd phrases about what a cunt the Falcone boy was from the meeting last night, and how Mr. Spillane got a little bit too big for his boots, but seemed to chill out when he realised what the score was. He's sort of just making very idle conversation.
A few minutes later, still actually arriving a little bit earlier compared to what he was supposed to arrive at, Theodore walks in. Oddly enough, dressed pretty much as you see, looking almost exactly like the picture. You know, pretty much accurate in this case. He looks very calm, very reserved. Kind of looks around at the decor, which, if I'm not mistaken, is vampire gothic.
It's
Right,
kind of
that's the theme.
it's not vampire themed. It's just kind of like goth, blacks and reds, sort of sort of like rock, or sort of like classic rock goth style, but like a bit
Okay.
of leopard here and there.
All right. Kind of looks around at the decor. Doesn't look down his nose at it. Just kind of like doesn't care for it one way or the other. Just similar glance towards the performers. Just like it's just an environment. Doesn't matter.
You're
Since he
very
did get
likely approached because you're dressed nicely, you look like you have money. So very likely that you'll
he
be
is
approached.
he kind of looks, if it's one of the performers that essentially approaches him, he just kind of looks, just kind of like makes a little like motion like nope, not now, just like not rude or anything, just very polite, like busy, here for something else, as gently as possible, and then just looks around, spots, assuming Ghost and them are out where it's visible, or are they in their office?
Oh, they were in the office, weren't they? Shit. Sorry, mate.
Well, that's okay. He looks around for someone who works here. Maybe the performer who was just talking to him. Unless
There's
there's some workers.
the girl. There's a couple of different performers. There's waitresses, and there's two bartenders.
He heads back towards one of the bartenders and says very calmly, I'm here to speak to a Miss Ghost.
Bartender sort of does the thing of cleaning a glass and looking at you in the way that bartenders always seem to do. And then he puts the cloth over his shoulder and moves behind the bar towards two buttons on the wall. When he presses one button, you notice that it makes
Intercom noise.
no. It makes a camera move
Mm.
and point in your direction. And then he does speak, and then you guessed it. The next thing he does, he presses another button. He speaks into an intercom, which comes over into the office where Ghost and Limey are, and say, "Yeah, boss, we've got a Mr." He looks back at you for a name.
Koenig.
Mr. Koenig. Here to see you. Do you know this guy? Ghost sort of looks up and puts her glasses down. She says, "Yeah, send him in." And the guy just sort of nods and goes, "Go on in."
And since now he's been indicated towards the office, he heads towards the office, knocks once, and opens the door. Now, is Limey dressed as he is in the picture, or is it more casual?
Oh, no, Limey doesn't really do casual. Does your man know about tailoring? Does he know about suits?
I would say so. I don't have like a specific skill towards it, but given his profession, I guarantee you he's well attired.
Yeah, he's well. I mean, it's his Limey suit seems outdated. It seems he's wearing like a 3-button Italian mohair number in like a very dark blue, but it looks like it's seen better days. It's
a sign that went out of style a couple of decades ago.
It went out of style. It's a very modernist looking suit. But it went out of style in the probably in around the the sort of 60s. There will have been a resurgence in the late 70s and 80s. It's very jazz, the attire. He wears like a pork pie hat on his head. Like a black knit tie with a collar bar, and like a tie pin and that kind of thing. He also wears on the lapel of his suit jacket the Bruja symbol, and he sort of gives his eyes strike you as bored. He looks like he could be bored or very, very stoned, as he kind of gives you a sort of glance once over.
Ghost, in contrast, is wearing a sort of leather biker waistcoat style thing over a black t-shirt which has the sleeves ripped off, and jeans and motorcycle boots, and you can see a sort of large array of tattoos that go from a couple on her hands and all the way up her arms, a couple on her neck, not on her face or anything, but she has sort of short, stylistically shaved blonde hair, platinum blonde hair, and her eyes, in contrast to Limey's, are very alert. They watch you like as you walk into the room, they sort of stare at you, almost sort of burningly, as she stands to greet you.
He steps inside, closes the door behind himself, and is she like holding out a hand for a handshake, or?
She looks you up and down for a minute, and then she holds out her hand.
He steps forward and takes her hand. Firm handshake. Typical Bruja. He's a little stronger than he looks, which isn't strong at all. He looks very modest physically. He's not at all imposing. And he just shakes her hand firmly. Miss Ghost, I believe. And he kind of looks over at Limey. And kind of questioningly, associate, or?
Oh, does he say associate?
Mostly just
Hmm?
He says is this an associate of yours, or?
Limey sort of stands up, sort of, rather than sort of slouching, he sort of extends to his full height, which is roughly 6'2".
Taller than me.
Oh, okay. He's sort of like, but then it's sort of after seeming to sort of stretch out, almost very cat-like. His shoulders kind of round. And he takes a few steps towards you and extends, because he similarly doesn't look very strong. He's quite broad, but he's quite wiry looking.
Mm-hmm.
He sort of extends a hand in your direction.
Meets the
but with
handshake,
his
fully
long,
prepared to
bony
get squished.
fingers.
Meets the handshake, fully prepared to lose his hand.
No, very gentle handshake. He gives a firm handshake that he's not putting any crushing force into it. But it seems to be a very quite a moderate handshake, quite a polite handshake. I mean, he meets your eyes as he does it. And who's you?
Did he introduce himself, or was he just asking who I was?
He's asking who you are.
Okay. Theodore Koenig.
Theodore Koenig. Pleasure.
It's unlikely. I mean, you could roll Bruja lore, but he doesn't have fame or anything. It's quite possible you might. It's possible you'd hear about him because he did make a little bit of a stir, but it's
Yeah, I can roll. I've
I
got
don't know.
Bruja lore too. Would you mind rolling me 4 dice, Lisa?
Fate dice or what?
Yeah.
No. This is Bruja lore. No, 4
Yeah.
successes. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll say you've heard of this guy. Because even though he's not that well known, that's 4 successes. He used to lair up in Chicago. He's not your typical Bruja. He's a lot more laid back. He's a criminal defense lawyer. Very good with money, supposedly. But the thing he's known for, all those are side notes. The thing he's known for was he works a lot with Clan Nosferatu, to the point where like he's real buddy with them. Spends some time in the sewers even. He got involved in a little scheme the Ventru were doing against the Nosferatu of that city, and he basically turned it on the Ventrus and bailed the Nosferatus out and made the Ventrus look like complete pompous assholes in the process. So he is completely persona non grata in Ventru circles. So basically, you'd figure clan friendship, Nosferatu, clan enmity, Ventru.
Yeah.
Okay.
He sort of leans in your direction, sort of inhales. You don't smell like a sewer.
Actually, he probably. Well, no, it's been a night. No, he's okay. He's okay. That was yesterday. This is a new suit. I was gonna say, otherwise he probably does.
Really?
Well, he was in the sewer yesterday and he ate a few rats.
Fair point. Okay.
You might detect if you're actually using enhanced senses, you might have a faint whiff.
No, he's not using enhanced senses.
Okay, then no problem. He
Just
smells like
raises an eyebrow at the pair of you, like, what, are you gonna fucking suit up and fuck each other? What are you doing? She's watching Limey, sort of doing a sniffing thing.
Limey shoots her a glare.
And then she just smiles at him like, bounce.
Okay.
he kind of looks at you and it's like based on the description. Based on the description, you would be our sheriff.
I am indeed. Call me the Limey, Sheriff of New York. And in fact, with the fame, you'd know that the Bruja of this city were recognised by Archon Theo Bell of Clan Bruja as well. That would include both Ghost and the Limey for their defence of New York City.
So you're both
Limey, you'd specifically know for killing a red lister.
Nice.
I'm not trying to be like, yes, my character killed a red lister, no. Like, but
trust me, I've heard of it.
I'm telling you what you'd know. Like,
okay. Yeah, he knows who you are.
Yeah, and he sort of it's good to have a decent defense lawyer, especially around this part of New York. Nice to have you aboard, Mr. Koenig.
Couldn't hear that last part, sorry.
He said, nice to have you aboard, Mr. Koenig.
Ah, okay. Certainly. I hope my skills will be somewhat of use to the clan. Apparently, our clan has already made some headway in a few other fields as well. Apparently, we're in very good with the Nosferatu, which is always pleasant to hear. Saves me a lot of legwork.
We generally like to keep decent relationships with most of the clans in this city. However, some relationships are more natural than others. Clan Nosferatu, of course, being one of them.
Of course.
He sort of retreats back to his chair and sort of reclines.
If there's an available seat, Theodore will take it.
Ghost sits back down as well. You notice that her desk, you'd imagine someone like Ghost would be quite chaotic and quite have quite a messy environment, but actually everything's very neat. Her desk is stacked sort of very tidily. There's only one sort of what you may call clutter. Piece of clutter on the desk, which is a photograph of a blonde woman. Attractive blonde woman. So, what brings you to our neck of the woods, Mr. Kieran?
I heard from a few associates that the sewers of the city were something of a mess, and I don't mean in the usual sense. I figured I might pay back a couple favors and do a few of my own, and see if I could get it firmly back under the grip of, well, he just kind of like leaves that open. Like, it's obvious, he's not planning on running the sewers himself, and who does run the sewers?
Limey kind of glances between the two of them, just sort of listening to the conversation.
So you're the Nosferatu's new white knight in shining armor.
Some might say so. He kind of grins.
Careful, that's her job.
She shoots Limey sort of sidelong glance.
Oh, I've already. He kind of smiles. He's like, I've already heard of Miss Ghost's relationships with the clan. It's actually very pleasant to hear.
Oh, and who might you have been talking to?
Okay, he kind of smiles. Oh, I already got approached by Nosferatu. That would be Mr. Damien, I believe his name was.
Gossipy little bitch.
Kind of grins.
She says, and you can tell that she says it with a smile, so you can tell she's not actually angry.
Oh, yeah. Well, to be fair, he mentioned you more in passing. He was more explaining the presence of other members of his clan in town, such as Miss Monroe. And by mentioning Monroe, you came up, of course.
Yeah, seems to happen a lot these days. Someone mentions her name when I come up.
Limey sort of shoots her a glance that says, "Can you blame them?"
More of a list of who's who for those clans.
Miss Monroe is my progeny, as it were, at the moment.
Ah, I hadn't heard that. Interesting.
So, if you do wish to have dealings with her, be aware that she's not a fully fledged member of the Camarilla, and she'll probably deal with me as well.
Quite understood, and that shouldn't pose any problems.
I'm sure you've heard about Mole.
Yes, I believe he is most likely the person who alerted Damien as to my presence.
Yeah. He's pretty cantankerous, but well, he's cool.
He's not a bad bloke. Helps a few times in the Sabatmore. Personally quite like Mole.
I respect him. I don't like him, but I respect him.
Eh. Well, we don't have to like each other, do we? We just got to respect each other in the Camarilla. Keep the wheel turning, as it were. Until it's time, of course, to put a puncture in the tyres, but thankfully that moment isn't now. So why the move from Chicago, Mr. Koenig? He sort of turns to look at you inquisitively.
Well, as I said, it was a good chance to come and explore. But it's rather deplorable that the Nosferatu of this town haven't been able to fully own their sewers. I mean, it's a lot of space, don't get me wrong. You would need a small army of our folk to actually occupy the place, but there are ways to get around that. And I figured I might be able to assist with that. Plus, I needed the change of scenery. I'd been in Chicago for quite some time.
So on there, you just had a little bit of enmity with Clan Ventrue. You figured you'd come over here and help the reforming Camarilla, of course, with no benefit to yourself. He sort of gives a slightly raised eyebrow, and I'm going to roll 6 dice. Lisa, would you roll 6 dice for me? Oh, I see a 10 there. That's 4 successes with a specialization in character analysis.
What's he doing?
Analyzing your motives. And I've got, if you want to hide, if you're hiding your motives, then you can roll like charisma subterfuge or. But
I would assume he's since he's a very reserved character, he's always trying to be at least somewhat less obvious than most. So I guess I'll roll manipulation subterfuge. Okay, that's 7 dice with a specialty in guile. I mean, he is a criminal defense lawyer. Oh, the dice are not wanting to help me today. I only got 4 successes.
Nah, fair enough. Defender wins, though.
Oh, okay.
Now, hang on a minute. Wait, are you getting successes on 3s?
No. 7, 6, 6, 7. I took away 1 of the 7.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
There was a botch roll.
My phone's a little bit dead. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, defender wins. So, I mean, reveal what you want to reveal, basically.
He seems somewhat inscrutable, but he kind of smiles. He's like, I have history with the clan of kings, so to speak, but they were not the reason I came here. Trust me, I had firmly entrenched myself in Chicago. They did not run me out of town. I simply decided it was a good opportunity to help the Nosferatu here in the city. Now, of course, my own clan as well would benefit, but no, there's always opportunity in situations like this. He kind of gestures around.
It certainly is. War, quite a profitable business, really.
Extremely. I might need to, shall we say, tone up a little bit first, though.
Well, you're already established. Harlem's probably the most secure domain within the city. The longest held, longest fought for. So the sewers underneath Harlem were where the reclamation efforts began. It'll probably be a worthwhile starting point. Maybe kit yourself out with something. Grab your own little piece of domain here in Harlem. Just a building or a street, somewhere with easy access to the sewers.
That sounds reasonable.
I mean, how much money have you got for rental space or to buy your own space, if necessary?
Well, I already made some arrangements for setting up proper licenses and establishing a law office in this area, but all of contingent, of course, on receiving permission from the Seneschal, which I've received permission.
And have you met the prince yet?
Out of character, I haven't actually done the Seneschal scene, but since Amakan and I have had trouble scheduling, we said it was safe to assume that we had.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. To your question, he says, I have not actually.
Ooh, you want to get on that, Chief? this being his domain and all.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just waiting for.
Oh.
Like he said, you want to get on that? It's his domain. Nobody replied, so he just sat in comfortable
I didn't hear
silence.
that.
Oh, did you
Oh,
not?
I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he said.
I think there's a little lag in this.
Yeah, possibly, mate. Yeah, he sort of when you say you haven't met the prince, he says, "Oh, I'm gonna do that sooner rather than later. This being his domain and all."
Well, I have already done my introductions through the Seneschal. I believe that was sufficient. And the prince has undoubtedly already received a few letters from me informing him that I was planning on arriving. Seneschal seemed to know I was coming at any rate. So,
And have you been told that? No, right. And have you been told? Sorry, he cuts you off with a wave of a hand, because vampire politics are nasty. You sort of no, right. Have you been told by the Seneschal you have express permission to take residence in the prince's domain? This is permission that you've received.
Out of character, I don't know because we haven't had the scene.
Oh shit! Yeah, so
I
he
would
hasn't
assume
told.
that he has.
So he hasn't told
He
you any
hadn't even left
specifics
the
then.
city.
Yeah. So he hasn't told you any specifics yet. Fair point. All right. He just sort of like nods and sort of passes his lips and.
I'd say it's safe to assume that he has been granted permission to stay in the city. Otherwise, he would not
No,
be
it's
in the
just,
city right now.
yeah, no,
Frederick was
that's
still
the thing. It's just Amachana's told me there's a few new characters who haven't met the prince yet, and the idea is that you're meant to meet the prince. You're not meant to do it through the Seneschal. You're meant to meet the prince. That's at least that's what Amachan was saying this morning. So I'm just sort of essentially enforcing. Sheriff is what he does.
Okay, so he just nods. And after that's handled, he thinks for a moment. Well, making an office here in Harlem is not the most prestigious place I could do it, but it's a lot safer for my business practice. Besides, there's no shortage of potential candidates here who might be willing to employ my skills and have the money to do so.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure myself and Ghost will both concur that with the line of work we're in, then our people could make ample use of your services.
Certainly. Should I even ask what those are? He kind of grins.
I'm sure you'll find out eventually. He sort of gives a sardonic chuckle, like to suggest that their businesses are possibly not so legitimate.
Oh, if that's the message on that one, he just kind of smiles and he just kind of shakes his head like, ooh, Bruja involved in something that's not on the correct side of the law. What's the world coming to? He's obviously not saying it to be offensive. He's just like joking like, oh, this is so unusual. We're involved in something like that. Little sarcasm.
Oh yeah, that's right. He picks up on the sarcasm and nods. Limey aware that sarcasm is at times confused for witchcraft in the States, so it's just good to see an American with a good sense of humor.
Yeah. Nods and he pulls out a little business card. It's got his number. He actually pulls out two of them. It's got his number. It's got his law office address. He's like, here, this is where I've set up shop. It's probably in a decent office building in Harlem. It's just, it's Harlem. It's not downtown. The lawyers with his skill and experience usually would set up probably somewhere downtown in a high-rise office. This is still going to be decent, but it's, this is more like Matthew Murdoch's office.
More like a more noir, yeah.
Exactly. But, it'll work out. He nods again. Well, as far as reclaiming the sewers, Obviously, we'll need to coordinate that with the Nosferatu, but I believe there are several ways we might go about it. I have a few connections with the sewer department, shall we say, the waterworks. I'll have to work on improving those, but a little money goes a long ways, as long as one uses discretion.
Well, I must admit the ghost here certainly has more dealings with Clan Nosferatu. If you need to liaise with them, I'm sure you're more than capable of doing it yourself, but it's good to keep her in the loop for these things.
Oh, certainly. It'd be hard to keep her out of the loop. He kind of grins.
Look, Lisa, you there?
Hello?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Oh, cool.
Ghost just sort of nods. She's listening to you both talking.
Fair enough. Kind of thinks for a moment. Well, as far as our state of unrest in the city, I was thinking it might be best if I spent a little time with some more experienced members of my clan when it comes to kind of like Grimace's getting my hands dirty. And not in the usual sense, but, you know.
Less, no, more literally, less theoretically, you mean?
Exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've put my hands through any amount of sewer sludge, but only broken so many necks in my time.
And how are you physically getting your hands dirty? I mean, well...
Well, I've got the natural gifts of our clan, though I'm no expert in them. And I'm not an invalid. And I know I've studied the most basic of hand-to-hand combat, but he kind of leaves it at that. Like, basically, that leaves him at the position where, with his natural gifts, he could probably take out a biker, but, you know, like we were saying earlier, he would get overwhelmed.
Lion kind of nods. Okay, you ever fired a gun before?
That's a good question. Let me look. Nope. He just shrugs and goes, I'm not even sure where the safety is. I know they have them.
Okay. This look on her face that's just like... How do I describe it? It's kind
incredulous?
of like... yeah, incredulous, yeah. She rolls her eyes upwards a little bit. But doesn't say anything. The ghost is quite easy to read.
Limey kind of takes. He sort of reaches into his back pocket. Well, not his back pocket. He reaches sort of into the waistband of his trousers, and he pulls out quite a small pistol. It's a Colt 25, so it's this little kind of. It was almost a lady's pistol, really.
So a light semi-automatic.
Yeah. And he sort of he pulls it out of his waistband and sort of pops it on the table. Okay. Well, while the Sabbat have been dealt with, if you catch my drift, they're still lurking around. I expect at least some of their more human assets might still skulk around from time to time, directed by those we didn't manage to clean up entirely. So you are going to need to learn to shoot, and you are going to need to learn to fight. I'm booking you an
Go ahead.
I'm booking you for an appointment at my hound's dojo. Emily of Clan Gangrel. He sort of reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small black notebook, which he scrawls a number down and pulls a page out and slides it across the desk to you. Now, she'll teach you hand-to-hand combat. If you need help with, well, the gifts of our clan, and I'm sure maybe I can find some free time, if not Ghost. Generally a little better with their hands than I am. But then, I suppose.
Phrasing.
Did he say phrasing?
No,
I was gonna say.
No, not this guy.
That's all you.
Yeah, exactly.
But he sort of she'll be able to show you the ropes, especially with potent. Celerity's more my gig, but well,
Both are equally handy, especially when you have both.
Work well in conjunction with one another.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of Ash members of the Sabbat who'd be able to attest to that point. Now, as for shooting, where should we take you? Alright. He sort of slides the pistol across the desk.
He kind of hesitates for a moment. He's like, I'm not going to claim that I'm defenseless, but he kind of like hesitates, like, I can't. It's like he's not sure how to explain this without sounding cocky. He's like, I do have, as any intelligent person would, a plan for how to defend myself. I've always found guns to be, while effective at sometimes ending a fight before it begins, against our kind, they tend to lack effectiveness.
They certainly do, however.
Wait, he kind of like holds up hand. He's like, I'm not saying that I don't have a way of doing something, though. He kind of reaches out. He's wearing that suit and everything. And he just kind of reaches, like he halfway opens his vest, reaches like partway down, like towards his side, and then pulls out. I don't have a picture, damn it, but it's a fucking throwing knife. And I'm not talking like a cutesy little like ninja star or something like that that's out of an anime. This is like a properly weighted knife designed for throwing.
Yeah.
And he's like, got a couple of these. And I know how to throw them.
Oh, groovy. Yeah, that'll save aiming for the head.
Exactly. They tend to do far more... Cutting a few tendons is far more effective than, well, poking holes in an already dead body.
I'm glad you seem so educated on the subject.
All theoretical knowledge.
Let's get you some practical knowledge. Now, I'm still going to feel a lot better if you're walking around knowing how to handle a piece, so we'll get you down shooting range sometime. Clan Bruja tends to have a bit of a reputation for being a handful. I'd hate for anybody to buck that trend. Throwing knives. Nice. He sort of glances away, and then sort of slides the pistol over to you with one finger. Safety's there. Hammer it. Cock. And he sort of seems to give you a small demonstration on how to use a pistol, so you don't like blow a hole in your toe or something, or you know.
I'd make a dex roll right now, but if I botched it, I'd probably wind up shooting someone.
It's okay. We're vampires, and it's a light pistol.
I'll make a dexterity roll if you want, just like to see him like try handling it. He's not going to fire it. At least he's not trying.
Sure. Yeah.
If I botch this, no botch, simple failure. He sucks at this at the moment, but intellectually he gets what you're talking about.
What is he doing? Is he shooting a gun in here?
No, he's not shooting a gun.
What is he doing?
Limey's taking him through how a gun works, how to like get a bullet in the chamber, how to put the safety on, etc.
Okay.
If I had botched it, he might have wound up firing it, but he didn't botch. Instead, he just, it's obvious he's not so good with the physical aspect of it, but when you point, if you ask him, like, okay, where's the safety, he's going to be able to point, there's the safety. It's just getting his hands to actually follow through and do it. That's the problem right now.
Okay. So I'm going to show you the easiest part. He sort of takes the clip out and puts the bullets out on the table. You take the bullets out like that. Practice cocking, safety, etc. Like I said, against especially human assailants, the kind that they ain't worth shit against a loaded pistol. So always happy to keep one on your person. Anyway, he sort of slides the bullets back into the clip and then chambers it and then passes it over the table to you, switching the safety on first. We'll get you over to a shooting range, just so you know what you're doing.
Fair enough. I believe I could benefit from a little time at the range, at least enough that I don't risk shooting myself.
Now, also remember to ring this number, get hold of my hound. They'll teach you how to fight. Well, they'll give you a bit of a brush up on hand-to-hand fighting. Careful for a gangrel, she's strong. And also, I need to track down a blood-hunted kindred over the coming week. Gangrel who decided to, well, laugh in the face of the prince's law.
That tends to end poorly.
Well, before I got to this town, none of the sheriffs were really up to their job. I found that, well, since I've been in charge, there have been fewer moments of this kind. Especially with the right backup. So, will you be up for something of an excursion into the woods?
Kind of grimaces slightly. Well, as part of a group, I believe I could be of use. By myself, well, I don't fancy my chances against anyone who knows what they're doing, as you know. But as part of a group, I could likely contribute.
Part of the group is we'll be taking a hunting party down into his domain. From what I understand, there'll be a pack of wolves to fight, and then he himself.
Oh, well, those will be easier.
And also susceptible to gunfire. So,
exactly.
You'll need to learn. Anyway, I believe you two had business to discuss before I interrupted things.
Not particularly, just introducing himself.
Yes, which I believe I've managed to convey.
Make sure Monroe knows that you're around, and if she wants to meet you, I'll bring her along.
I think the Nosferatu have their own means of communicating. I'm fairly sure if there's a Nosferatu in the city, they've probably been alerted to my presence. At least from what Damien said. But still, yes, just in case. I'll make sure to try and stop by at some point if I have your permission to meet the lady for myself.
She nods.
Fair enough.
Oh, and just worth mentioning, my domain goes as the crow flies, drawing a line through Harlem from roughly 153rd due north. So essentially, more or less just under the top third of Harlem falls directly under my domain as recognised by the prince. So do me a favour and drop me a line if you're going to be passing through.
Actually, we should roll fate dice and see if my office is in your area. Because he wouldn't have known whose personal domains are. He would have known Harlem is Brujah turf, but he wouldn't have known who has what.
We can roll fate dice if you like, but it's going to be a massive ball ache if it turns out to be in his domain, because he will tell you to move. I wouldn't roll fate dice. I'd go story. I'd
Alright, fair enough. Let's just go with it.
Because otherwise, it's going to be a massive ball ache for both of us.
Be like, shit! I can't let you do that. Get out. I'd be like, can't I have a tiny island in your territory? No.
No, my domain, mine. But yeah, he nods, and sort of stands up and straightens his suit, and he puts on his like leather sort of soul man's trench coat, the sort of fur coat, fur collar rather, and Yeah, he stands up, pats himself down. Oh, and then pulls out a small business card with his number written down. It's just a number, no name, no nothing like that. If you need to get a hold of me, drop me a line on that number. You dig?
Excellent. I'll make sure to do so. And since you have my number, let me know when there's need for this blood hunt, and I will join in. Just don't throw me at the gangrel.
Wouldn't dream of it, Mr. Koenig. Real groovy meeting you. He sort of extends a hand in your direction.
And he shakes it again.
He sort of nods, gives it a firm shake once, then turns back to Ghost.
Ghost just sort of stood up. She sort of folds her book in half and puts it under her arm.
Theodore's going to head out as well, because he accomplished what he was looking for. He managed to meet up to Brujah, so he's good.
Right. Take it easy, Ghost.
Take it easy.
I might pop by later on, discuss some personal business with you. Otherwise, take care, and watch out for any yaks, yeah?
She just sort of like grins at you, and then puts a cigarette between her teeth, lights it, and hops on her motorcycle.
Yeah, and Limey sort of walks out the front, and a very sleek black Aston Martin pulls up next to him, which he climbs into. He sort of lights a cigarette and leans out the window, and gives a sort of nod to Mr. Theodore Koenig.
Hilariously, if you're he doesn't seem to have a car parked nearby. He kind of looks around, notices you, just kind of waves a little bit, looks around, steps into a nearby alley, and you hear it's into the darkness stuff. You're not seeing anything.
A sewer grate pulls back.
You hear it, you don't see it.
Yeah.
He didn't arrive this way, otherwise you'd have smelled it.
Yeah. Limey kind of watches the man drop into the alley and hears the sewer grate being pulled back and sort of gives his head a brief shake at the eccentricity of the whole thing. And then shrugs his shoulders.
My laundromat hates me.
Yeah, I bet it does. And he turns up the jazz in the on the stereo and winds the window up.
Yeah, that's probably good. Sorry, we all talked at once. Go ahead.
I think we can call the scene to a close.
All right, and thank you, players for players. Thank you, watchers for watching, and good night.